But yeah, I normally post the VODs up on Twitch as well. Yes, here we go. Here we go, laddies. The Fellowship of the Ring. Bah, that's a thick book, eh? Look at that. That's a thick book, man. We're gonna be on this for a while. Are we reading Lord of the Rings? Yeah, so we finished The Hobbit. Yeah, we finished The Hobbit, and now we're going into The Fellowship of the Ring. Yeah. A very what's up, Co-Bishop? A very requested thing for me to read on stream as well. Now I may need your guys' help with something too, okay? In regards to my Grand Theft Auto character. Now, before we do that, like one thing I've been contemplating is not having long hair on my character. Keep my stream. Oh, good, brother. One thing I've been contemplating is not having long hair on my character anymore. And we've got some options, alright? Some potential options. Alright? Okay, can you like put more than one photo on a Microsoft Paint? I actually don't know if you can do that. Hello, YouTube! Timuka, kia ora. From Hastings, kia ora, my bro. What's up, PRF? Kia ora. Where you from? Ruatahuna and Rotorua. So I'm from Tūhoe and Te Arawa. Have lived here pretty much since 2009. I moved here to learn my Nan's whakapapa, actually. Yeah, moved here to learn my Nan's whakapapa and have been here ever since. Have a family now. You got a bit of a whānau now, so yeah, it'll just be lifing, my bro. We just be lifing. Okay, I need your guys' help, alright? Because I can't decide. Now, my character's had a long hair and RP for a very long time. And I'm thinking of changing it up. Okay? So I've got some options. For 3 different hairstyles, okay? 3 different hairstyles. I know this is a bit out of what I'm currently streaming. And here they are. Display capture. Here we go. This is what I'm thinking, alright? 1, 2, and 3. Which one do you like? I'm gonna lie, I think 1 kind of goes hard, eh? I'm gonna lie. 1 kind of going hard. Okay, what do we have here? Either one. Yeah, so I've had my characters had like long hair all the time, but I'm like, I might change it up for 4.0. Got a couple ones, okay. I don't really like to dress my character like these e-boy looking styles in GTA. Are you always sporty? Yeah, ain't they on in like 20 minutes? Cowboys first for me though. Nah, Cowboy. Yeah, let me know. Those are my options that I'm thinking of. Like a lot of ones. My ranking is 1 and 3. Yeah. 1, 3, and 2. Okay. 1 one is one's pretty good, eh? Okay. So yeah, this is what we're up to tonight. A bit of a reading stream before my family gets home from wherever the hell they are. Okay. So here we go. The Fellowship of the Ring. Three rings from elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in the halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne in the land of Mordor, where the shadow lies. 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, One ring to bring them all into the darkness and bind them into the land of Mordor where the shadow lies. Wow, they start off straight away. Alright, here we go. Where's our chapter 1? Where's chapter 1? Oh, I think I went past it. Prologue. Here we go. We're on the prologue already. Shit. This book is largely concerned with hobbits, and from its pages... Wait, can we skip the prologue? We want to get into the story. Cass. Here we go. The Fellowship of the Ring. Book 1. We even got a bit of a map. There we go. We all know where this map anyway, so let's carry on. Should I go live on TikTok as well? I didn't think about that. I should probably do that too, eh? I mean, I could. Next time. Anyway. When Mr. Bilbo Baggins of Baggin announced that he would shortly be celebrating his 11th birthday with a party of special magnificence, there was such talk and excitement in Hobbiton. Bilbo was very rich and very peculiar, and had been a wonder of the Shire for 60 years. Ever since his remarkable disappearance and unexpected return, the riches he had brought back from his travels had now become a local legend, and it was popularly believed, whatever the old folks might say, that the hill at Bag End was full of tunnels stuffed with treasure. And if that was not enough for fame, there was also his prolonged vigour to marvel at. Time wore on, but it seemed to have little effect on Mr. Baggins, because he had a ring. And at 90 he was much the same as at 50. At 99 that he began to call him well preserved, but unchanged. Would have been nearer the mark. There were some that shook their heads and thought that this was too much of a good thing. It seemed unfair to anyone should possess apparently perpetual youth as well as reputedly inexhaustible wealth. Big words there. It will have to be paid for, they said. It isn't natural, and trouble will come to it. But so far trouble had not come, and as Mr. Baggins was generous with his money, most people were willing to forgive him his oddities and his good fortune. He remained on visiting terms with the relatives, except of course the Sackville Bagginses, and he had many devoted admirers among the hobbits of poor and unimportant families. But he had no close friends until some of his younger cousins began to grow up. The eldest of these and Bilbo's favourites was young Frodo Baggins. When Bilbo was 90, he had adopted Frodo as his heir. Yeah. Fellowship is amazing. Yeah, we just finished The Hobbit like a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't realise how much that the film had missed. How long you reckon stream will be? I don't know. Depends how I'm feeling and when my family's on the way. Bro, if you want to go watch the game, go watch the game. Go watch the game, bro. You're all good. And brought him to live in Baggins. So this is Frodo, by the way. And the hopes of Sackville Bagginses were finally dashed. Bilbo and Frodo happened to have the same birthday, September 22nd. Hey, that's a day before me. That is a day before me. You had better come and live here, Frodo, my lad, said Bilbo one day, and then we can celebrate our birthday parties comfortably together. At this time, Frodo was still in his tweens, okay, as the hobbits called the irresponsible 20s between childhood and coming of age at 33. True. 12 more years pass. Each year, the Bagginses have given very lively combined birthday parties at Bag End. By now it was understood that something quite exceptional was being planned for that autumn. Bilbo was going to be 11-1. What the fuck? Oh, 111, eh? 111, that's right. 11 to 1. A rather curious number and a very respectable age for a hobbit. The old Took himself had only reached 130, and Frodo was going to be 33, an important number, the date of his coming of age. So he was 33 in the bloody, in the first film. Holy shit, what an old fart. Tongues began to wag in Hobbiton and Bywater, and rumour of the coming event travelled all over the Shire. The history and character of Mr. Bilbo Baggins became once again the chief topic of conversation, and the older folks suddenly found their reminiscence and welcome demand. Man was already in my sleep dust. Your mic is low. Shit, it's like right here too. I just don't want to be too loud, you know, because then the mic will start cracking. check, yeah. Because I've got a naturally loud voice, so I've got to hold back a bit. No, I'm lost where I am. Where was I? Uh-oh. Do you know your whakapapa? Yep. Where was I? Shit! You made me lose where I was! Sorry, I'm just speed reading. Okay, I found it. No one had a more attentive audience than old Ham Gamgee, commonly known as the Gaffer. He held forth at the Ivy Bush, a small inn on the Bywater Road, and he spoke with some authorities, for he had tended to the garden at Bag End for 40 years, and had helped old Holman in the same job before that. Now that he was himself growing old and stiff in the joints, the job was mainly carried by his youngest son, Sam Gamgee. Both father and son were on very friendly terms with Bilbo and Frodo. They lived on the hill itself, in number 3 Bagshot Row, just below Bag End. A very nice, well-spoken, gentle hobbit, is Mr. Bilbo, as I've always said, and the Gaffer declared with perfect truth, for Bilbo was very polite to him, calling him Master Hamfast. Okay. And consulting him constantly upon the growing of vegetables as a matter of roots, especially potatoes. The Gaffer was recognized as the leading authority by all the neighborhood, including himself. What's up, Social Club? How are you, brother? But what about this Frodo that lived with him? Asked old Nooksbuck. They say it beats me why any Baggins of Hobbiton should go looking for a wife away from the Buckland, where folks are, I don't know if I should say that word. Should I be saying this word? Let's just say it rhymes, it's the first word in, for the straight guy. I'm not saying that word, I might get in trouble. And no wonder that word, put in Daddy Twofoot, the Gaffer's next door neighbor. He ain't saying that word, bro. Hell no. He's trying to set me up saying that word. If they live on the wrong side of Brandywine River and right again in the old forest, there's a dark, bad place. If half the tales are true. Wait, really? What does it mean other than, people trying to be smartasses then? You're right, Dad, said the Gaffer. Not that any brandybucks of Buckland lived in the old forest by I'm not saying that word, breed. Seemingly they fool around with their boats on that river. And that is a natural. Small wonder that trouble came of it, I say. But be that as it may, Mr. Frodo is a nice young hobbit as you could wish to meet. Yeah, I'm not saying that word, man. Hell no. Very much like Mr. Bilbo, and I more looks after all. His father was a Baggins. A decent, respectable hobbit was Mr. Drogo Baggins. Oh, Khal Drogo had a hobbit. Had a hobbit bastard child, I'm calling it here. Bloody Khal Drogo, eh? Deviating from an expected of normal... Oh, okay. Oh, right. Well, now I don't know what word you're talking about. Queer. There was never much to tell of him till he was drowned. Drowned? Said several voices. They had heard this and other dark rumours before, of course. But hobbits have a passion for family history, and they were ready to hear it again. Ooh, they like whakapapa. That's good. It didn't get its new meaning till the 60s. Jeez, how do people know this knowledge, man? What was I doing? What was the one thing I was thinking about in the 60s? By listening to my nan. Yeah, true. Far out. You are the Thesaurus, my bro. Thesaurus Rex. Sure, my bro. Well, so they say, said Gaffer. You see, Mr. Drogo, he married poor Miss Primula Brandybuck. She was our Mr. Bilbo's first cousin on the mother's side, her mother being the youngest of the old Duke's daughters, and Mr. Drogo was his second cousin. Thank you, Oki Killer, for the follow over on the green side. Okay, Frodo is his first and second cousin, and removed either way, as the saying is. If you follow me, and Mr. Drogo was staying at Brandy Hall with his father-in-law, old Master Gobradok Far. See, they miss all of this in the film, eh? You don't hear anything about these guys. As he often did after his marriage, him being partial to his Vitless and old Gordon. What the hell is that word? Okay, what does this word mean? VITTLES. Sorry, I'm gonna ask you what these words mean. I don't go out of my way to learn expensive words, you know. I carve wood. I carve wood, alright? That's me, man. Thank you very much, Oki. Why is your alert not popping up, Oki? That's not right. Appreciate you, brother. Vittle. Oh, food and drink, really? Oh. An old Gobradok keeping a mighty generous table, and he went out boating on the Brandywine River. And he and his wife were drowned. Geez, these bloody hobbits like using their EDs, eh? And poor Mr. Frodo, only a child and all. I've heard they went down the water after dinner in the moonlight, said old Nooks. And it was Drogo's weight as sunk the boat. Oh, his fat ass hobbit, okay. Okay, Māori word for you guys. This is a new Māori word. My kids taught me this. Māori word of the day. Puku tautou. Puku tautou. Big back. You're welcome. Big back, guys. Yeah, so that's these new Māori words that this younger generation's coming up with. Once again, puku tautou, big back. My kids call me that, but I'm like, excuse me? Okay. And I heard she pushed him in, and he pulled her in after him, said Sandy Man, the Hobbit Miller. Where are all these characters? You shouldn't listen to all you hear, Sandy Man, said the gaffer. Pushing and pulling boats are quite tricky enough for those that sit still without looking further for cause of trouble. Anyway, there was Mr. Frodo left an orphan and stranded, as you might say, among those Bucklanders being brought up anywho in Brandy Hall, a regular warren by all accounts. Old Master Gordok never had fewer than a couple of hundred relations in the place. Yeah, Mr. Gordok was a bit of a horny fellow. I can't chat under Twitch. Oh, can't you? How come? He brought... Okay. But I reckon it was a nasty knock for those Sackville Bagginses. They thought they were going to get back in that time when he went off, and he thought to be dead. And then he comes back and then orders them off, and he goes on living, and then never looking a day older, bless him. And suddenly he produces an heir and has all the papers made out proper. The Sackville Bagginses won't never see the inside of Baggin now, or it is to be hoped not. There's a tidy bit of money tucked away there, I hear tell, said a stranger, a visitor on business with Michael Delving. Bro, who are all these new characters, bro? Michael Delving in West Farthing. All atop of your hill is full of tunnels packed with chests of gold and silver and jewels, by what I've heard. What's up, Nakura? Then you've heard more than I can speak to, answered Gaffer. I know nothing about jewels. Mr. Bilbo is free with his money, and there seems to be no lack of it. But I know of no tunnel making. I saw Mr. Bilbo when he came back, a matter of 60 years ago, when I was a lad. I'm not long come prentice to old Holman. Bro, Tolkien's too bloody technical for me, eh? Him being my dad's cousin. But he had me up at Bag End helping him to keep folks from tramping the trespassing all over the garden while the sale was on. Oh, this is like at the end of the Hobbit, eh, when he's coming back. And everyone's like selling all his shit. Or trying to auction it off. Yo, what's up, Tez Needle? How you doing, brother? In the middle of it all, Mr. Bilbo comes up the hill with a pony and some mighty big bags and a couple of chests. I don't doubt that they're mostly full of treasure he had picked up in foreign parts, where there would be mountains of gold, they say, but there wasn't enough to fill tunnels. But my lad Sam will know more about that. He's in and out of Bag End, crazy about stories of the old days. Hears and he listens to Mr. Bilbo's tales. Mr. Bilbo has learned him his letters. Okay, meaning no harm, mark you. And I hope no harm will come of it. Far out. This fella's Ingari here is pretty handy. How are you? I'm doing good, my bro. It's been a busy weekend. Been a busy ass weekend just with the family. But they're out at the moment, so I thought I'd get a cheeky reading stream in, since a lot of people have been, waiting for it. To figure out how to transmit this to radio so I can listen on my radio. Bluetooth speaker, good sir. The movie were great, and if you caught the extended cut, I've never actually seen the extended cut of Lord of the Rings. Is this Maori stories? Nah, this is Fellowship of the Ring. Something highly requested from all the communities over the platforms I stream on is reading streams, and we finished The Hobbit couple weeks ago. When it comes to Maori stories, bro, you'll hear me tell them outside while I'm carving anyway. This is just another avenue of something that I've always wanted to do. I don't want to be carving 24/8 all the time. There's other things within streaming that I want to do. Which reminds me, I need to make my bulletin vision board too. 1988 Panasonic radio. Oh, yeah. Okay. Elves and dragons, I say to him, cabbages and potatoes and better for me and you. Don't go getting mixed up in the business of your betters, or you'll land in trouble too big for you, I say to him. And I might say it to others, he added with a look at the stranger and the miller. But the gaffer did not convince his audience. The legend of Bilbo's wealth was now too firmly fixed in the minds of the younger generations of hobbits. Wonder how rich he actually was, eh? But he has likely enough been adding to that, to what he had brought at first, argued the miller, voicing common opinion. He's often away from home, and look at that outlandish folks that visit him. Dwarves coming at night, and the old wandering conjurer Gandalf. And all you can say what you like, gaffer. But Bag End's a place, and its folks are... Jeez, there's that word on here quite a few times that I'm not going to say. The Silmarillion was even harder to read. The words get bigger. Wait, really? Shit. Okay. I barely read, but love hearing the good stories, you know. I'm definitely tuning in then for... Yeah, we'll be back at it tomorrow. Like, back at Whakairo tomorrow. I stream a majority of the week. I'd love to stream through the weekends, but I've got a family, so, you know, I've got to focus on them too. This is dope. Hope your weekend is blessed, brother. Game Freak, it's going good, brother. It's going good. I'm just waiting for Forza like every other normie. I don't want to spend like a good shopping's worth of money just to get early access. Early access here in Aotearoa is $200, and I'd rather get shopping than spend that much money on a game to play early when it's eventually going to be released in like 2 days. So yeah, we'll wait on that. Jerry Brother Test Needle, appreciate you commenting on the green stream too, my bro, because of the KPP. Yo, double 97, thank you very much for the sub on Twitch too, my bro. Thank you very, very much, brother. What's up, K Bishy? Not enough yet. Honestly, I'd love to stream through the weekends too, but you know, I've got to juggle being a streamer with being a husband and a father of 3 too. Okay, carrying on. But he is likely enough to be adding to what he brought at first, argued the miller. Voicing common opinion, he's often away from... Oh, wait, we've read this, eh? Here we go. And you can say what you like about what you know more. Sub Ravi? Sorry. Do you know what Gefe means? Yes, I know what Gefe means, you Aikai. Fucking childish ass comment. Anyway, Mr. Sandyman, retorted the gaffer, disliking the miller even more than usual. If that's been, then we could do with it a bit more in these parts. There's some not far away that wouldn't offer a pint of beer to a friend if they lived in a hole with golden walls, but they do things proper at Bag End. Our Sam says that everyone's going to be invited to the party, and there's going to be a present, mark you, present for all, this very month as is. That very month was September, and as fine as you could ask a day or two later with rumour, probably started by the knowledgeable Sam, was spread out there where were going to be fireworks. Fireworks, what is more, such as had not been seen in the Shire for a night on a century, not included since the old Turk died. True. Oh, that's right, yeah, because he takes firecrackers to bag it, to the Hobbiton, right? What do you do for me? You're watching it. I've been a full-time streamer for about 6 years, so I normally stream for Whakairo, which is Maori wood carving. But that'll most likely be tomorrow. And a few games here and there. Tēnā koe tipene. I'd asked for if fun was being had, but I know what you're reading. Thus, I know the answer already. Cheers, Sean! Bro, the words in this are hard. PSRP streamer. I'm looking forward to 4.0 on Tuesday. Okay. And then 5.0 on No Pixel. Days passed and the day drew nearer. An odd-looking wagon laden with odd-looking packages rolled into Hobbiton on the evening and toiled up the hill to Bag End. The startled hobbits peered out of their lamplit doors to gape at it. It was driven by outlandish folk singing strange songs, dwarves with long beards and deep hoods. A few of them remained at Bag End at the end of the second week in September. A car came in through the bywater for the directions of the Brandywine Bridge in broad daylight. Oh, bro, I'm gonna play GTA and No Pixel. Gotta go. Yeah, all good, bro. Catch you up. Okay, where was I? Ah, there. An old man was driving in all alone. He wore a tall, pointed blue hat, a long grey cloak, and a silver scarf. He had a long white beard and bushy eyebrows that stuck up beyond the brim of his hat. Small hobbit children ran after the cart all through Hobbiton and right up the hill. It had cargo of fireworks. As they rightly guessed, at Bilbo's front door the old man began to unload. There were great bundles of fireworks of all sorts and shapes, each labelled with a large red G and the elf Elune. Okay. There was Gandalf's mark, of course, that the old man was Gandalf's fire, smokes, and lights. His real business was far more difficult and dangerous, but the Shire folk knew nothing about it. To them, he was just one of the attractions at the party, hence the excitement of the Hobbit children. G for grand, they shouted. And the old man smiled. They knew him by sight, though he only appeared in Hobbiton occasionally, and never stopped long. But neither there nor any but the oldest of the elders had seen one of those fireworks displays. They now belonged to a legendary past. When the old man, helped by Bilbo and some dwarves, had finished unloading, Bilbo gave a few pennies away, but not a single scribble crackle was forthcoming. To the disappointment of the onlookers, "Run away now," said Gandalf. "You'll get plenty when the time comes." Then he disappeared inside with Bilbo, and the door was shut. The young hobbit stared at the door in vain for a while, and then made off, feeling that the day of the party would never come. Inside again, Bilbo and Gandalf were sitting at the open window of a small room looking out west to the garden. The late afternoon was bright and peaceful. The flowers glowed red and golden, snapdragons and sunflowers. The nasturtiums trailing all over the turf walls and peeping in the windows. "How bright your garden looks," said Gandalf. "Yes, Bilbo, I'm very fond of it indeed, and all of the dear old Shire, but I think I need a holiday." "You mean go on with your plan?" Question mark. I had a random thought. How close to the nearest black hole is Earth? I don't know. I don't really think about that stuff. I think about, how much is the shopping gonna cost me next week? Let's say stream a few months back. It was such fun. Oh, nice. Yo, Poonex, thank you very much for the 41 months, my brother. How you been? Cheer, my bro. Cheer to the cheer, my brother. Good to see you. Good to see you, my bro. What's up, Sir Quan? Okay, carrying on. I made up my mind months ago. Good yourself? I've been good, brother. I've been busy as. I've been smashing out the carving streams these last couple of weeks, which has been good. And trying to remain consistent as usual, my bro. And what are you reading? Fellowship of the Ring. We finished The Hobbit a couple weeks back now. How you been, Sir Quan? Appreciate you for commenting. Yeah, just been focusing on the streaming and the family pretty much, and myself as well. It's like health-wise. It's been good, bro. It's been really good. And just enjoying a Sunday evening before the family gets home. Pretty much. I just told them to text me when they're on the way home so I can finish up before they turn up. Okay, I've made up my mind months ago and haven't changed it. Very well. If it is no good saying any more, stick to your plan, your whole plan mind. And I hope it will turn out to be the best for you and all of us. I hope so. Anyway, I mean to enjoy myself on Thursday and have my little joke. Doing good, bro. Thanks for helping the algorithm. Just helping. Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'm still a bit of a, still getting used to, Kick as a whole, my bro. But a lot of my friends have come through and shown love too. It's been fun. It's been fun, growing another platform from scratch again, and I've been actually enjoying it. Really enjoying it. Well, thank you, brother. Who will laugh, I wonder, said Gandalf, shaking his head. We shall see, said Bilbo. The next day more carts rolled up the hill. Oh, enraged mana. Thank you very much for the follow, my bro. Oh, nice. Bro, Quan, that's good to hear, bro. As long as, you know, it makes you feel good, brother. Kapai. That's a W in my book. Oh, Dope Lord of the Rings. What's up, Aiden? Yeah, bro. I just started Fellowship of the Ring. We just finished The Hobbit a couple weeks ago. Favorite characters from The Hobbit? There's a couple. Start off with my absolute favorite, Dane Ironfoot. I love Dane Ironfoot. Then Thorin. There's no one like bloody Gandalf. Gandalf's probably my favorite from the whole franchise. And everyone told me to check out Tom Bombadil. Apparently, I got you, my brother. Been watching on Twitch, but I heard you got kicked. Oh, thank you, my bro. Che, namihi, brother. Thank you, brother. Yeah, Tom Bombadil's apparently supposed to be OP as shit. I've never heard of him before, so yeah, I'm keen to see where he comes up in these stories. Thank you, Enraged Mana. Thank you, my bro. Okay, the next day, yeah, where are we? Yeah, the carts roll up. There might have been some grumbling about dealing locally, but the very weak orders began to pour out of Bag End for every kind of provision, commodity or luxury that could be obtained in Hobbiton or Bywater, or anywhere in the neighbourhood. People became enthusiastic, and they began to tick off the days on the calendar, and they watched eagerly for the postman, hoping for invitations. Before long, the invitations began pouring out, and the Hobbiton's post office was blocked, and the Bywater post office was snowed under, and voluntary assistant postmen were called for. There was a constant stream of them going up the hill, carrying hundreds of polite variations of thank you. I shall sincerely come. A notice appeared on the gate at Bag End: no admittance except on party business. Even those who had or pretended to be having party business were seldom allowed inside. Bilbo was busy writing invitations, ticking off answers, packing up presents, and making some private preparations of his own. From the time of Gandalf's arrival, he remained hidden from view. One morning, the hobbits woke up to find the large field south of Bilbo's front door covered with ropes and poles for tents and what the fuck is that word? Pavilions. A special entrance was cut into the bank leading to the road, and wide steps and large white gates were built there. The three hobbit families of Bagshot Row adjoining the field were instantly interested and genuinely envied. Old Gaffer Gamgee stopped and pretended to work in the garden. Wait, isn't Gaffer Gamgee the fella that gives the shitty-eyed look when they walk past? Is that him? Tom Bombadil deserves his own movie. I'd love to see what he's capable of, eh? Not a fan of the singing. Wait, Tom Bombadil's a singer too? You read your kids The Hobbit? Sure. I do a bit of storytelling for my kids too, but I just talk about the lore from League of Legends. Our story time has consisted of Brom. He's everything all in one. Okay. Cheers, Zane. Lord of the Rings while having my coat. Ooh, what's for tea, my bro? What's for tea? Let me just open up a separate window. Warriors versus the Broncos, just putting me up a bit of a live score, so I can keep an eye on that. Give me a bit of a live score in the corner there. Carrying on, classic dominoes. Wee, the dominoes. Okay. All right, where am I? The tents began to go up. There was a special large pavilion so big that the tree that grew in the field was right inside it, and stood proudly near one end. At the head of the chef table, lanterns were hung on all the branches. More promising still, to the hobbit's mind, an enormous open-air kitchen was erected in the north corner of the field. A, a draught of cooks from every inn and eating house for miles around arrived to supplement the dwarves and the other old folks. They were quartered at Bag End. Excitement rose to its heights. Then the weather clouded over. That was on Wednesday, the eve of the party. Anxiety was intense. Then Thursday, September 22nd, actually dawned. The sun got up and the clouds vanished. Flags were unfurled and the fun began. Bilbo Baggins called it the party, but it was really a variety of entertainments rolled into one. Practically everybody living near was invited. A very few were overlooked by accident. But as they turned up all the same time, they did not matter. Many people from the other parts of the Shire were also asked, and there were even a few from outside the borders. Bilbo met the guests and additions as the new White Gate at the new White Gate in person. He gave away presents to all and sundry. The latter were those who went out again by the back way and came in again by the gate. Hobbits give presents to other people on their own birthdays. Not very expensive ones as a rule, and not too lavishly as on this occasion, but it was not a bad system. Actually, in Hobbiton and in the Bywater, every day of the year was somebody's birthday. So that's every hobbit in those parts had a fair chance, or at least 1% at least, once a week. But they never get tired of them. Far out, imagine having a birthday every day for a whole year, eh? You'd be broke. You'd be giving sticks at that point. On the occasion... where am I? The fireworks were by Gandalf. They were not only bought by him, but designed and made by him. And the other special effects, set pieces, and flights of rockets were led off by him. But there was also a ginormous distribution of squids, crackers, back wrappers, sparkles, torches, dwarf candles, elf fountains, goblin barkers, and thunderclaps. They were all superb. The art of Gandalf improved with age. There were rockets like a flight of skeleton birds singing with the sweet voices. There were green trees with trunks of dark smoke. Their leaves opened like a whole spring unfolding in the moment, and their shining branches dropped glowing flowers down upon the astonished hobbits, disappearing with a sweet scent just before they touched their upturned faces. There were fountains of butterflies there, flew glittering into the trees. There were pillars of coloured fires that rose and turned into eagles, or sailing ships, or phalanx of flying swans. Turns page. There was a red thunderstorm and a shower of yellow rain. There was a forest of silver spears that sprang suddenly into the air with a yell like an embattled army. That came down again into the water with a hiss like 100 hot snakes. And there was also one last surprise, in honor of Bilbo, and it startled hobbits exceedingly. As Gandalf intended, the lights went out. A great smoke went up. It shaped itself like a mountain seen in the distance, and began to glow at the summit. It spouted green and scarlet flames. Out flew a red golden dragon, not life-size, but terribly lifelike. First came from his jaws his eyes and glared down. There was a roar, and he was 3 times out to the hundreds in the crowd. They all ducked, and many fell flat on their faces. The dragon passed like an express train, turned and somersault, and burst over the Bywater with a deafening explosion. True. Okay. See, they go right into detail with it, eh? Right into detail. Did a night shift last night and watched all the Lord of the Rings films. Wait, what? How long are those movies? You're looking at like an hour minimum, right? Far out. That's a pretty solid leg, my bro. That is a solid leg. That is far out. You need a job like yours. My man just chilled out and got paid watching Lord of the Rings. What a giga chad. There is a signal for supper, said Bilbo. The pain and the alarms vanished at once, and the prostrate hobbits leapt to their feet. There was a splendid supper for everyone. For everyone, that is, except those invited to the special family dinner party. This was held in the great pavilion with the tree. The invitations were limited to 12 dozen, a number also called by the hobbits on gross through the word was not considered proper to us people. 2.5 hours for the far out. I have to watch that on my own. I don't think my wife has that kind of attention span. Hey, and the Warriors scored a try. I think they did. Or a kick, one of them. Goodbye. Okay, and the guests were selected from all the families to which Bilbo and Frodo were related with. The addition of a few special unrelated friends, such as Gandalf, many young hobbits were included, and presented by parental permission, for hobbits were easygoing with their children. In the matter of sitting up late, especially when there was a chance of getting them a free meal. Bringing up a young hobbit took a lot of provender? Jeez. It's like watching Susie Kato again. Yo, she's the goat though. Kia ora, talofa, kei te pēhea koe. I used to grow up watching their programs, bro. They were amazing. Yeah. All the 144 guests expected a pleasant feast, though they rather dreaded the after-dinner speech of their host, an inevitable item. He was liable to drag in bits of what he called poetry, and sometimes, after a glass or two, would allude to the absurd adventures of his mysterious journey. I heard she's back. Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, she's back on it, eh? Good on her, though. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool they got her back. The guests were not disappointed. They had a very pleasant feast, and in fact, an engrossing entertainment, rich, abundant, varied, and prolonged. The purchase of provisions fell almost to nothing throughout the district in the ensuing weeks. But as Bilbo's catering had depleted the stocks of most of the stores, cellars, and warehouses from miles around, that did not matter much. After the feast, more or less, came the speech. Most of the company were, however, now in the tolerant mood, at the delightful stage which they called filling up the corners. They were sipping their favourite drinks and nibbling their favourite dainties, and their fears were forgotten. They were prepared to listen to anything and to cheer at every full stop. My dear people, began Bilbo, rising in his place. Hear, hear, hear! They shouted and kept on repeating in chorus, seemed reluctant to follow their own advice. Bilbo left his place and went and stood on a chair under the illuminated tree. The light of the lanterns fell on his beaming face. The golden buttons shone on his embroidered silk waistcoat. They could all see him standing, waving one hand in the air and the other in his trouser pocket. My dear Bagginses and Boffins, he began again, and my dear Tooks, Blowers and Bolgers, brace girdles, good bodies, broke house, proud feet, shouted an proud feet, said an elderly hobbit from the back of the pavilion. His name, of course, was Proudfoot, and well merited. His feet were large, exceptionally furry, and both were on the table. Proudfoots, repeated Bilbo. Also my Sackville Bagginses, I welcome back at the last at last to begin. Tonight is my 111th birthday. I am 11-1 today. Hooray! 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 Many happy returns they shouted and hammered joyously on the table. Bilbo was doing splendidly. This was the sort of stuff they like, short and obvious. So, Bashir, how you, brother? Are you gone for all of a second? You could definitely be a narrator. I will narrate anyone's life for an hour for $500 an hour. Chill, my bro. Ah, shit, I lost where I was again. When I was on the sun. Here we go. I found it. I hope you're all enjoying yourselves as much as I am. Deafening in cheers, cries of yes and no, noises of trumpets and horns, pipes and flutes and other musical instruments. There were, as if he had been said, many young hobbits present. Hundreds of musical crackers had been pulled. Most of them bore the mark Dale on them, which did not convey much to most of the hobbits, but they all agreed they were marvelous crackers. They contained instruments small but perfect, make an enchanting tone. I'll pay you $1 million. No, I'm just joking, brother. I would not want anyone to pay me $1 million unless you're sure, because I'd want you to be sure and not just do it just because. That would be crazy. Where was I? Uh-oh. Oh, there. They contain... Oh, no, there I am. Indeed, in the corner, some of the young Tooks and Brandybuck, supposedly Uncle Bilbo, too, having finished, since he had plainly said all that was necessary, now got up in an impromptu orchestra and began a merry dance tune. Master Evard Took and Miss Melilot Brandybuck got on the table, and with the bells in their hands began to dance in Springle Ring, a pretty dance but rather vigorous. So basically they were dropping in like a zod. But Bilbo had not finished. Seizing a horn from a youngster nearby, he blew 3 loud hoots. The noise subsided. I shall not keep you long, he cried. Cheers from all the assembly. I have called you all together for a purpose. Something in the way that he said this made an impression. There was almost silence, and 1 or 2 of the Tooks prickled their ears. Indeed, for 3 purposes. First of all, to tell you I am immensely fond of you all, and that 11-1 years is too short of a time to live among such excellent and admirable hobbits. Tremendous outbursts of approval. I muck my words up because I feel pressure reading in front of people. I don't know half of you half as well as I should like you, and I like less than half of you as well as you deserve. This was unexpected and rather difficult. There was some scattered clapping, but most of them were trying to work it out and see if it could come to a compliment. Secondly, to celebrate my birthday, cheers again, I should say. Our birthday, for it is of course also the birthday of my heir nephew, Frodo. He comes of age and into his inheritance today. Some perfectionary clapping by the elders and some shouts of Frodo, Frodo, jolly old Frodo, from the juniors. The Saxville Bagginses scowled and wondered what they meant by coming into inheritance. Night shift at the kids' care home. Love it. Oh, true, my bro. If you go to Australia, a favour, can you get you... Why would I go to Australia? I don't need to, brother. Okay. Together, we score 144. Your numbers were chosen to fit the remarkable total. 1 gross, if I may use the exception. The expression, sorry. No cheers. This is ridiculous. Many of the guests, and especially the Sackville Bagginses, were insulted, feeling sure they had only been asked to fill up a required number, like goods in a package. One gross indeed, vulgar expression. It is also, if I may be allowed to refer to ancient history, the anniversary of my arrival by barrel at Esgaroth on the Long Lake. Though the fact that it's my birthday slipped my memory on that occasion, I was only 51 then, and the birthdays did not seem so important. The banquet was very splendid. However, though I had a bad cold at the time, I remember that I remember and could only say thank you very much. Oh, well, fella slurred out. I now repeat it more correctly. Thank you very much for coming to my little party. Yo, what's up? Hort Gabriel, kia ora, bro. Kia ora, brother. How are you? Obstinate silence. They all feared that a song of some poetry was now imminent, and they were getting bored. Why couldn't he stop talking and let them drink at his health? But Bilbo did not sing or recite. He paused for a moment. Thirdly and finally, he said, I wish to make an announcement. He spoke this last word so loudly and suddenly everyone sat up who still could. I regret to announce that, as I have said, 11th years is far too short a time to spend among you. This is the end. I'm going. I'm leaving now. Goodbye. And that's when he puts the ring on, eh? Oh, 8-0 to the Warriors. Kapai. He stepped down and vanished. There was a blinding flash of light, and the guests all blinked. When they opened their eyes, Bilbo was nowhere to be seen. 144 flabbergasted hobbits sat back speechless. Old Otto Proudfoot removed his feet from the table and stamped. There was a dead silence until suddenly, after several deep breaths, every Baggins, Boffin, Took, Brandybuck, Grub, Chubb, Burrows, Bolger, Bracegirdle, Brookhouse, Goodbody, Hornblower, and Proudfoot began to talk at once. It was generally agreed that the joke was in very bad taste, and more food and drink was needed to cure the guests of the shock and annoyance. He's mad, I always say so, was probably the most popular comment. Even the Tooks, with a few exceptions, thought Bilbo's behaviour was absurd. For the moment most of them took it for granted, and his disappearance was nothing more than a ridiculous prank. I'm from Brazil. This stream learning English and Lord of the Rings is my favourite saga. Oh, kia ora, bro. Hope you enjoyed, bro. I may screw up a few words here and there, man. Just, with this technical English of Tolkien's, my bro. But thank you very much for tuning in, brother. Yeah, I don't know how long we're gonna go for, but I'm kind of just reading till my wife messages. I need to find me a bookmarker too. Okay, carrying on. But old Rory Brandybuck was not so sure. Neither age nor an enormous dinner had clouded his wits. We're on page 31. I just lost where I was. Oh yeah. And he said to his daughter and his daughter-in-law Esmeralda, "There's something fishy in this, my dear. I believe the mad Baggins is off again. Silly old fool. But why worry? He hasn't taken the victuals with him." He called loudly to Frodo to send the wine round again. Hey, what's up, Team Frog? You think that's bad? You should try read It's Almost Impossible. I'd probably kick the book if it's that technical. Like, literally kick the book IRL. But it would be funny. I won't lie. He had enjoyed the joke, of course, even though that had been in the know. He had difficulty in keeping from the laughter at the he had laughed at the I can't even say this word. Indignant surprise of the guests. But at the same time, he felt deeply troubled. He realized suddenly that he had loved the old hobbit dearly. Most of the guests went on eating and drinking and discussing Bilbo Baggins' oddities. Past and present, but the Sackville Bagginses had already departed in wrath. Frodo did not want to have any more to do with the party. He gave orders for more wine to be served. Then he got up and drained his own glass silently to the health of Bilbo and slipped out of the pavilion. As for Bilbo Baggins, even while he was making his speech, he had been fingering the old golden ring in his pocket. His magic ring, what he kept a secret for so many years. As he stepped down, he slipped out on his finger, and he was never seen by the hobbit and hobbiton again. He walked briskly back to his hole and stood for a moment listening while a smile to the din in the pavilion. Oh shit, that gave me a fright. Research Outpost, thank you very much for the follow and kick, brother. Thank you, kind sir. Thank you. I appreciate you, good sir. Fuck, that gave me a fright here, I'm gonna lie. Would take you about 4 years? What, to read this? Thank you, brother. Okay, where was I? Then he went in. He took off his party clothes, folded up the wrapped in tissue paper, his embroidered dead silk waistcoat, and put it away. Then he put on quickly. Okay, Bushy, you don't need to tell me that, bro. I'm not out here trying to keep tabs on viewer count. Untidy garments and fastened around his waist a worn leather belt. On it he hung a short sword in a battered black leather scabbard from a locked drawer. Smelling of mothballs, he took out an old cloak and hood. Then, an old cloak and hood. They had been locked up as if it was very precious, but they were so patched and weather-stained that their original colour could hardly be guessed. It might have been dark green. They were rather too large for him. Then he went in. I think Ed's here. Then he went into his study, and from a large strong box took out a bundle wrapped in old clothes, and a leather bundle he stuffed at the top of a heavy bag that was standing there. Already nearly full, into the envelope he slipped his old golden ring and its fine chain, and sealed it, and addressed it to Frodo. At first he put it on the mantelpiece, but suddenly he removed it and stuck it in his pocket. At the moment the door opened and Gandalf came quickly in. "Hello," said Bilbo. "I wondered if you would turn up. I'm glad to find you visible," replied the wizard, sitting down in the chair. "I wanted to catch you before and have a few final words. I suppose you feel that everything has gone off splendidly and according to plan. How you, brother Ed? Hope you're doing good, brother." Nah, you're good, bro. You just don't need to tell me if you count, bro. I don't really care about that. Yo, what up, chef? How you, brother? "Yes, I do," said Bilbo, though that flash was surprising and quite startled me. "Let alone the others. A little addition of your own, I suppose." "It was. You have wisely kept the ring secret all these years, and it seems to be necessary to give your guests something else that would seem to explain the sudden punishment of vanishing, and would spoil my joke. You are interfering, old busybody," laughed Bilbo, "but I expect you know best as usual." "I do, when I know anything, but I do feel too sure about this whole affair. It has now come to the final point. You have had your joke, and alarmed or offended most of your relations, and given the whole Shire something to talk about for 9 days, or 99 more likely. Are you going any further? Yes, I am. I feel I need a holiday, a very long holiday. As I've told you before, probably a permanent holiday. I don't expect I shall return. In fact, I don't mean to, and I have made all the arrangements. I am old, Gandalf. I don't look it, but I am beginning to feel it in my heart of hearts. Well, shit, I just lost where I was. Okay. Well preserved, indeed, he snorted. Why, I feel I've been scaped over too much bread. That can't be right. I need a change or something. Gandalf looks curiously and closely at him. No, it does not seem right, he said thoughtfully. No, after all, I believe your plan is probably for the best. I feel immersed. I'm trying, man. Cheers, brother. Well, I've made up my mind. Anyway, I want to see mountains again, Gandalf. Mountains! And then find somewhere where I can rest in peace and quiet without a lot of relatives prying around and a string of confounded visitors hanging on the bell. I might find somewhere where I can finish my book. I've thought of a nice ending of it, and he lived happily ever after in the end of his days. Gandalf laughed. I hope he will, but nobody will read the book however it ends. Oh, they may in years to come. Frodo has read some already, and as far as it's gone, you'll keep an eye on Frodo, won't you? Yes, I will. 2 eyes as often as I can spare. He would come with me, of course, if I asked him. In fact, he offered to once just before the party, but he does not really want to yet. I want to see the wild country again before I die, and the mountains. But he is still in love with the Shire, with the woods and the fields and the little rivers. He ought to be comfortable here. I am leaving everything for him, of course, except a few oddments. I hope he will be happy. When he gets used to being on his own, it's time he was his own master now. Everything, said Gandalf. The ring as well. You agreed to that, you remember? Well, yes, I suppose, stammered Bilbo. Where is it? In an envelope, if you must know, said Bilbo impatiently. There on the mantelpiece. Well, no. Here in my pocket. He hesitated. Isn't it odd now? He said softly to himself. And after all, why not? Why shouldn't it stay here? Gandalf looked again very hard at Bilbo, and there was a gleam in his eyes. I think, Bilbo, he said quietly, I should leave it behind. Don't you want to? Well, yes and no. Now it comes to it, I don't like parting with it at all, I may say, and I don't really see why I should. Why do you want me to? He asked, and a curious change came over his voice. It was sharp and suspicious and annoyance. You're always badgering me about my ring, but you never bothered me about the other things that I got on my journey. No, but I had to badger you. Oh, no, but I had to badger you, said Gandalf. I wanted the truth. And it was important magic rings are, well, magical that they are, and rare, and curious. I was professionally interested in your ring, you may say, and I still am. I should like to know where it is, if you go wandering again. Also, I think you have had quite long enough. You won't need it any more, Bilbo. I am quite mistaken. Bilbo flushed, and there was an angry light in his eyes. He kindly His kindly face grew. "Why not?" he cried. "And what business is it of yours? Anyway, to know what I do with my own things, it's my own. I found it came to me." Yes, Gandalf. But there's no need to be getting angry. If I am, it is your fault. If I am, it is your fault, said Bilbo. It's mine, I tell you. My own. My precious. Yes, my precious. The wizard's face remained grave and attentive, and only a flicker in his deep eyes showed that he was startled and indeed alarmed. It had been called that before, he said, but not by you. But I say it now, and why not? Even if Gollum said the same once, it's not his now, but mine, and I shall keep it, I say. Gandalf stood up. He spoke sternly. You'll be a fool if you do, Bilbo, he said. You make that very clear every word you say. It would go too far much to hold you. Let it go, and then you go yourself and be free. I'll do as I choose and I go as I please, said Bilbo obstinately. No, dear Hobbit, said Gandalf. All your long life we've been friends, and you owe me something. Come, do as you promised. Give it up. Oh, the Warriors are 16-0, by the way. Chair. I know one guy that's going to be mad about that. Well, if you want the ring for yourself, say so, cried Bilbo. But you won't get it. I won't give my precious away, I tell you. His hand strayed to the hilt of his small sword. He'd get no diffed by Gandalf straight away, bro. Gandalf's eyes flashed. It will be my turn to get angry soon, he said. If you say that again, I shall. Then you'll see Gandalf the Grey uncloaked. He took a step towards the hobbit, and he seemed to grow tall and menacing. His shadow filled the little room. Bilbo backed away to the wall, breathing hard. His hand was clutching at his pocket. They stood for a while facing one another, and the air of the room tingled. Gandalf's eyes remained bent on the hobbit. Slowly his hand relaxed, and he began to tremble. I don't know what's come over you, he said. You have never been like this before. What is it all about? It is mine, isn't it? I found it. And Gollum would have killed me if I hadn't kept it. I'm not a thief, whatever he said. I never called you one, Gandalf answered. And I am not one either. I'm not trying to rob you. I'm trying to help you. I wish you would trust me as you used. He turned away and the shadow passed. He seemed to dwindle again to an old grey man, bent and troubled. Bilbo drew his hands over his eyes. I'm sorry, he said, but I felt so, not saying that word, and yet it would be a relief in a way not to be bothered with it any more. It has been so great on my mind lately. Sometimes I have felt it was like an eye looking at me. Am I always wanting to put it on and disappear? Don't you know? Wondering if it's safe? And pulling it out and making sure. I tried locking it up, but I found it. I found I couldn't rest without it in my pocket. I don't know why, and I don't seem able to make up my mind. Then trust me, said Gandalf. It is quite made up. Go away and leave it behind. Stop possessing it. Give it to Frodo and I will look after him. Bilbo stood for a moment tense and undecided. Presently he sighed. All right, he said with an effort, I will. Then he shrugged his shoulder and smiled rather ruefully. After all, that's what this party business was all about, really. To give away lots of birthday presents and somehow make it easier to give it away at the same time. It hasn't made it any easier in the end, but it would be a pity to waste all my preparations. It would quite spoil the joke. Indeed it would. Take away the only point I ever saw in the affair, said Gandalf. Very well, said Bilbo, and goes to Frodo with all the rest. He drew a deep breath. And now I really must be starting with somebody else over again. He picked up his bag and moved to the door. You still have the ring in your pocket, said the wizard. Well, so I have, cried Bilbo. And my will and all the other documents too? You had better take it and deliver it for me. That will be safest. No, don't give the ring to me. Put it on the mantelpiece, it will be safe enough there. Till Frodo comes, I shall wait for him. Bilbo took out the envelope, but just as he was about to set it by the clock, his hand jerked back, and the packet fell on the floor. Before he could pick it up, the wizard stopped and seized it and set it in its place. A spasm of anger passed swiftly in the hobbit's face once again. Suddenly it gave way to a look of relief and a laugh. Well, that's that, he said. Now I'm off. They went out into the hall. Bilbo chose his different stick from the stand. Then he whistled. 3 dwarves came out in different rooms where they had been busy. Wait, there were dwarves in there the whole time? 22-0 to the Warriors, by the way. Chevaloon. Is everything ready? Asked Bilbo. Everything packed and labelled? Everything? They answered. Well, let's start then. He stepped out the front door. It was a fine night, and the black sky was dotted with stars. He looked up, sniffing the air. What fun! What fun to be off again. On the road with the dwarves. This is what I have really been longing for years. Goodbye, he said, looking at his old home and bowing to the door. Goodbye, Gandalf. Goodbye for the present, Bilbo. Take care of yourself. You're old enough and perhaps wise enough. True, so, this is the book, right? So there were dwarves, were they associates of, Thorin in them, waiting for him? Bro, that's a pretty cool, detail. They missed that out. Take care. I don't care. Don't worry about me. I am happy now, as I have been, as I have ever been. And that is saying a great deal. But the time has come, and I am swept off my feet at last. He added, and then a low voice, as it to himself, he sang softly in the dark. The road goes ever on down from the door where it began. The far ahead on the road has gone, and I must follow if I can, pursuing it with eager feet until it joins some large way, where my paths and errands meet, and whether then I cannot say. He paused silently for a moment, then without another word, he turned away from the lights and voices in the field and tents, and followed by the 3 companions went round into the garden and trotted down the long sloping path. He jumped over a low place in the hedge at the bottom and took to the meadows, passing into the light like a rustle of the wind in the grass. Gandalf remained for a while, starting after him into the darkness. Goodbye, my dear Bilbo. Until next meeting, he said softly and went back indoors. Frodo came in soon afterwards and found him sitting in the dark, deep in thought. Has he gone? He asked. Yes, answered Gandalf. He has gone at last. I hoped until the evening that it was only a joke, said Frodo. But I knew in my heart he really meant to go. He always used to joke about serious things. I wish I had come back sooner, just to see him off. I think really, he preferred slipping away often quietly in the end, said Gandalf. Don't be too troubled, he'll be all right. He left a packet for you, and there it is. Frodo took the envelope from the mantelpiece and glanced at it, but did not open it. You'll find his will and other documents in there, I think, said the wizard. You are the master of Bag End now, and also, I fancy you'll find a golden ring. The ring? Exclaimed Frodo. He left me that? I wonder why. Still, it might be useful. It may or it may not, said Gandalf. I should not make use of it, if I were you, but keep it a secret and keep it safe. Now, I'm going to bed. As Master of Bag End, Frodo felt like a painful duty to say goodbye to the guests. Rumours of strange events had now spread all over the field, but Frodo was the only one, so no doubt everything will be cleared up in the morning. About midnight, carriages came from the important folk. One by one they rolled away, filled with full but very unsatisfied hobbits. Gardeners came by arrangement and removed in wheelbarrows those that had indefinitely remained behind, so they were like piss drunk, basically. Night slowly passed, the sun rose, the hobbits rose rather later. Morning went on, people came and began by orders to clear away the pavilions, and the tables and chairs, and the spoons and the knives and the bottles and plates, and the lanterns and the flowing shrubs and the boxes, and the crumbs and crackers and paper, the forgotten bags and gloves and handkerchiefs, and the uneaten food, a very small item. Then a number of other people came without orders. Bagginses and Boffins and Bolgers and Tooks, and the other guests that lived where they were staying near. By midday, when the events that best fed were out and about again, there was a large crowd at Bag End, uninvited but not unexpected. Frodo was waiting on the steps, smiling but looking rather tired and worried. He welcomed all the callers, but he had not much more to say than before. His reply to all the inquiries was simply this: Mr. Bilbo Baggins has gone away. As far as I know for good, some of the visitors he invited to come inside, and Bilbo has left messages for them. Inside in the hall there were piled a large amount of assortments and packages and parcels and small articles of furniture. On every item there was a label tied. There were several labels of sorts. For Adel Took, for his very own from Bilbo. On his umbrella, Adelard, he carried off many unlabelled ones. For Dora Baggins, in memory of long correspondence with love from Bilbo. On a large waste-paper basket, Dora was Drogo's sister and the eldest surviving female relative of Bilbo and Frodo. She was 99 and handwritten reams of good advice for more than half a century. For Milo Burrows, hoping all is well, from Bilbo Baggins, on the gold pen and ink bottle. Milo never answered letters. For Angelica's use for the Uncle Bilbo, or on a round convex mirror. She was a young Baggins and too obviously considered her face shapely. Hey, what up, Robbie? Cheer, my bro. No, you all good? I'm keeping an eye on the score too. for the collections of Hugo braceables from a contributor. An empty bookcase. Hugo was a great borrower of books, and worse than usual at returning them. For Lobelia Sackville Baggins as a present on a case of silver spoons. Bilbo believed that she had acquired a good many of his spoons while he was away on his former journey. Lobella knew that quite well. When she arrived later on in the day, she took the point at once, but also took the spoons. How are we doing, guys? He's all enjoying the reading stream? Chit-chat. I think I chose the wrong day to do it on, Magic Round Day. This is only a small selection of the assembled presents. Bilbo residents had got rather cluttered up with things in the course of his long life. It was a tendency of hobbit holes to get cluttered up, for which the customs of giving so many birthday presents was largely responsible. All good, spoons. Not of course that the birthday presents were always new. There were one or two old mathams of forgotten uses that had circulated all around the districts, but Bilbo had usually given new presents and kept those that he received. The old hole was known for being cleared. The old hole was known for being cleared a little. Every one of the various parting gifts that had labelled written or personally by Bilbo, and several had some point or some joke. But of course, most of the things were given where they would be warmed and welcomed. The poorer hobbits, and especially those of the bag shot row, did very well. Old Gaffer Gamgee got 2 sacks of potatoes, a new spade, a woolen waistcoat, and a bottle of ointment for the creaking joints. Old Rory Brandybuck, in return for much hospitality, got a dozen bottles of Wynyards, a strong red wine from the South Shining and now quite mature. As it had been laid down by Bilbo's father, Rory quite forgave. Laid down by Bilbo's father. Rory quite forgave Bilbo and voted him a capital fellow after the first bottle.
Peswop.
Hey, thanks, Betty. Thank you very much for the 15-month arenas. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing good, Betty. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing good. I gotta come and see the bro too about a question I have for him. Thank you, Betty Dan. Hope you're doing good. We're just getting in some reading. Some reading for our Sunday evening while keeping an eye on the Warriors and the Broncos score. There was plenty of everything left for Frodo. And, of course, all the chief's treasures, as well as the books, pictures, and more than enough furniture, were left in his possession. There was, however, no sigh nor mention of money or jewellery. Not a penny piece or a glass bead was given away. Frodo had a very trying time that afternoon. A false rumour that the whole household was being distributed free spread like wildfire, and before long the place was packed with people who had no business there, but could not be kept out. Labels got torn off and mixed, and quarrels broke out. Some people tried to do swaps and deals in the hall, and others tried to make off with minor items not addressed to them, or with anything that seemed unwanted or unwatched. The road to the gate was blocked with barrows and handcarts. In the middle of the commotion, the Sackville Bagginses arrived. Frodo had retired for a while and left his friends Merry Brandybuck to keep an eye on things. When Otho loudly demanded to see Frodo, Merry bowed politely. He is indisposed, and he said he's resting. Hiding, you mean, said Lobella. Anyway, we want to see him, and we mean to see him. Just go tell him so. Are they Rudy? Bloody rude hobbits, man. Mary left them, and long after a while, they had come to discover their parting gifts of spoons. It did not improve their tempers. Eventually, they were shown into the study. Frodo was sitting at a table with a lot of papers in front of him. He looked indisposed. How many Bagginses are there? They hump like rabbits. Probably they live in holes in the ground. Rabbit holes, hobbit holes. Hump like rabbits. Makes sense. To see Sackville Baggins, at any rate, he stood up, fidgeting with something in his pocket, but he spoke quite politely. The Sackville Bagginses were rather offensive. They began by offering him bad bargain prices and between friends for various valuable and unlabelled things. When Frodo replied, the only thing especially directed by Bilbo were being given away. They said the whole affair was very fishy. You know, I thought about it like that. I mean, it makes sense, eh? There's a bloody shit ton of them. Bloody shit ton of them, my bro. Only one thing is clear to me, said Otho, and that is what you're doing excitingly well out of it. I insist on seeing the will. Otho would have been Bilbo's heir, but from the adoption of Frodo he read the will carefully and snorted. It was, unfortunately, very clear and correct. According to the legal customs of hobbits, which demand, among other things, 7 signatures of witness in red ink, foiled again, he said to his wife. And after waiting 60 years, spoons, fiddlesticks, he snapped his fingers under Frodo's nose and stood up and stumped off. But Lobelia was not so easily got rid of. A little later, Frodo came out of the study to see how things were going, and found her still about the place, investigating nooks and corners, and tapping on floors as he escorted firmly off the premises, after he had relieved her of several small but rather valuable articles that have somehow fallen inside her umbrella. Far out, got some jealous whānau members, eh? Did you hear that, Mary? That was an insult, if you like it, said Frodo, as he shut the door on her. It was a compliment, said Mary Brandybuck, and so, of course, not true. Then they went round the hall and evicted 3 young hobbits, now boffins and a bolgar, who were knocking holes in the walls of one of the old cellars. Frodo also had a tussle with a young Sancho Proudfoot, old Otto Proudfoot's grandson, who had begun excavation in a large pantry where he thought there was an echo. The legend of Bilbo's gold excited both curiosity and hope for the legendary gold, mysteriously obtained, if not positively ill-gotten. It is, and everyone knows, anyone's for the finding, unless their search is interrupted. When he had overcome Sancho and pushed him out, Frodo collapsed on the chair in the hall. It is time to close the shop, Mary, he said. Lock the door and do not open it to anyone today, not even if they bring a battering ram. Then he went to revive himself with a belated cup of tea. He had hardly sat down when there came a soft knock on the front of the door. The belly again, most likely, he thought. She must have thought of something really nasty and have come back again to say it. It can wait. He went on with his tea. The knock was repeated, much louder, but he took no notice. Suddenly the wizard's head appeared at the window. If you don't let me in, Frodo, I shall blow your door right down your hole. If you don't let me in, Frodo, I shall blow your door right down your hole and out through the hill, he said. My dear Gandalf, half a minute, cried Frodo. running out of the room to my door. Come in, come in. I thought it was Lobelia. Then I forgive you. Then I forgive you. But I saw her some time ago, driving a pony trap towards Baywater with a face that would have curdled new milk. Yeah, I know the score, bro. You don't need to give me updates. I'm watching it. Oh, see, it made me lose where I was. And I'm She had already nearly curdled me, honestly. I never tried on Bilbo's ring. I long to disappear. Don't do it, said Gandalf, sitting down. Do be careful of that ring, Frodo. In fact, it is partly about that I've come to say a last word. Well, what about it? What do you know already? Only what Bilbo told me. I have heard his story, how he found it, and how he used it. On his journey, I mean. Which story, I wonder? Not what he told the dwarves and put it in his book, said Frodo. You had pestered him till he told you, so I better know it. No secrets between us, Frodo, he said, but they are not to go any further. It's mine anyway. Good morning from Germany. Good morning, brother. How are you? That's interesting, said Gandalf. Well, what do you think of it all? If you mean inventing all that about a present, well, I thought the true story much more likely, then I couldn't see the point of altering it at all. It's like Ian McKellen in the room. Who's Ian McKellen? Highlights name and searches it on Google. Wait, is that Bane? Oh no, it's Gandalf. Sorry, I only know him by his stage name. Okay, well, I thought the true story much more likely, and I couldn't see the point of altering it at all. It was very unlike Bilbo to do so anyway, and I thought it rather odd. Spanish subtitles. You can do that? Well, you can do Spanish subtitles? So did I. But the odd things may happen to people that have such treasure if you use them. Let it be a warning to you, be very careful with it. It may have other powers that just make you vanish when you wish to. I don't understand, said Frodo. Oh, shit. What was that? Legolas used 20 bits to play. Join the Discord. I was going to say, hey, I'm not on the Discord. Like, I'm not even in the Discord call. Then I saw it pop up. Cheer up, bro. Life is like a dream. Much love, my brother. Okay, where are we? Neither do I, answered the wizard. I have merely begun to wonder about the ring, especially since last night. No need to worry, but if you take my advice, you will use it very seldom, or not at all. At least I beg you not to use it in any way that will cause or talk or rouse suspicion. I say again, keep it safe, and keep it secret. Yeah, very mysterious. What are you afraid of? I am not certain. I will say no more, and I may be able to tell you something when I come back. I am going off at once, so this is goodbye for the present. He got up. At once? Cried Frodo. Why? I thought you were staying on for at least a week. I was looking forward to your help. I did mean to, but I have had a change of mind. I may be away for a good while, but I'll come and see you again. As soon as I can say accept me when you see me. I shall slip in quietly. I shan't often be visiting the Shire openly again. Well, shit, I just lost where I was again. Oh, there. then say I'm a nuisance and a disturber of the peace. Some people are actually accusing me of spiriting Bilbo away. Or worse. If you want to know, there's supposed to be a plot between you and me to get hold of his wealth. Some people, exclaimed Frodo. You mean Arthur and Lobelia? How abominable! I would give them back in and everything else if I could get Bilbo back and off and go off tramping in the country with him. I love the Shire, but I begin to wish, somehow, that I had gone too. I wonder if I shall ever see him again. So do I, said Gandalf, and I wonder many other things. Goodbye for now. Take care of yourself, look out for me, especially in unlikely times. Goodbye. Frodo saw him to the door. He gave a final wave of his hand and walked off at a surprising pace. But Frodo thought the old wizard looked unusually bent, almost as if he had been carrying a great weight. The evening was closing in, and his cloak figure quickly vanished into twilight. Frodo did not see him again for a long time. Chapter 2, Shadow of the Past. I think we will pause there for now, eh? Let me get a bit of a bookmark, eh? Bit of a bookmarker, chat. We will use number 61, Volcasaurus, Yu-Gi-Oh! As my bookmarker. There we go. So we know where we are. Alright, so we know where we are. Shout out to Yu-Gi-Oh! So, bro, there's like a lot that the movie didn't use, eh? I think the little hint that I enjoyed, I think the little hints that I enjoyed was probably I didn't know that the dwarves were there the whole time. Oh, the Broncos have scored finally. So to know that, you know, the dwarves were there waiting for Bilbo so they could, you know, take him on a journey. Cool little subtle thing that they missed. I mean, it would have been cool, but I guess, you know, it wouldn't have made sense at the time because the Hobbit wasn't around. Yeah, the Hobbit wasn't around at the time that they had aired it, pretty much. But I mean, it would have been a cool little hint for the future, you know? Because I absolutely love the Hobbit films as well. Especially Big Dane. Dane Ironfoot, as I mentioned before, is my favourite out of all the dwarves in the movie. He looks freaking badass, that's why. Like, real badass. But yeah, nice little hints here and there as to what happened. I genuinely enjoyed that first chapter there. Great scenes from him, and they never made it into the movie. Really? Oh, that makes sense though, yeah. But yeah, man, I feel like they missed out a lot of key stuff that would have been cool to have. Like, it would have been really cool to have, like, paying homage to those moments for the future films they were about to drop. That's just my opinion on it anyway. I'll be honest. Ooh, we're almost at 780. If the movie had everything in the book, they would have had. I'd watch a 6-hour Lord of the Rings movie. Yeah, so we'll look at doing reading streams like in the evenings. Obviously, it's a bit wife dependent because she enjoys a bit of time to herself in the living room. I don't have a streaming room, so yeah, it's in the living room, okay? Hey, Cheermaster, did I just miss the reading? Yeah, my bro, we just finished the first chapter of Fellowship of the Ring. It was good though, it was good. Also, guys, on the green side, I earned my first dollar from chat engagement. My first dollar from the KPP stuff. What else? It seems like they invested a lot into like the birthday stuff too, eh? Even the firecrackers, which is pretty cool. But hopefully we see more of it as we progress through the story too. So it's going to be interesting to me when Aragorn comes into the mix, because, you know, I love Aragorn. He's my favorite. Oh, 26-6 to the Warriors. Magic round be magic rounding, man. Damn. Good on the wires, though. Good on the wires. Yeah, magic round be magic rounding, man. Love to see it. But yeah, that's probably my thing I wish they had put in the movie. Just the dwarves. I mean, I'm on a bit of a dwarf vibe with World of Warcraft hardcore as well. Also, once again, chat, those hairstyles, thank you very much for your guys' contribution. Oh, 28-6 now. Shit. I might ask the bro how he's doing. I know one Broncos fan that's not going to be happy. Yeah, thanks for your guys' help as well. I'm just over having long hair with my GTA character. So I'm gonna change it up. Change it up. Change it up. What everyone was saying 1A. One was the favorite. Bro, the Wilds are smashing them. So once again, I'll show you. So these are the three different hairstyles I'm thinking of. For hello, double me. Look. Oh, but the bro Iraq G, that's his name, but I call him Eru. So these were the three different hairstyles I was thinking of for my character for when 4.0 launches on Tuesday. Being Prodigy RP, I don't play No Pixel 5.0 till that drops. But yeah, my character's always had long hair with a bun, and it never works with like hats or anything. So yeah, these were the vibes that I was going off. And everyone was saying one was the best one, eh? One was everyone's favorite. I like one too, I ain't gonna lie. One's kinda nice. So yeah, thanks for you guys' contribution on that one, eh? Oh, and everyone's saying three. Everyone's wrong. Yeah. I don't really like when it comes to GTA. I try not to dress my character up like, you know, the young gangster. Try and make sure he looks his age. Okay. Yep. Well, that's gonna be me unless I start with 3. You know, as RP goes on, here it grows again. Yeah, so there's a reason my character has a goldfish tattoo on his neck too. That was his cousin's tattoo. Nah, like my character's always had long hair like me, but it's boring. I need a change. Hey Ivan, how you doing, man? Oh man. How's Hardcore World Dwarf going? I died. But I do have a level 10 paladin. I have a level 10 paladin, dwarf paladin. I haven't really been playing that much because I've just been so busy. And I do get bored leveling on my own. So sometimes I'll play it for a little bit and then I might just jam something else and then come back to it again. I've always thought if I played, I'd go for the corporate business tie suit, tie polished shoes. Yeah, so the way I try and make my character look, bro, is just like, yeah, he's 33. He's not gonna look like a freaking TikTok gangster. Or that's what I try not to do with on GTA, unless it's, you know, for RP and just doing SBS stuff. Yeah, try and make him dress his age. I'll be honest, there's nothing to it. I just gave it my birthday. That's as deep as it gets. Oh man, big yawn by me. And it's only early. 35 of the Warriors are winning, man. 34-6 to the Warriors, bro. Damn! They are smoking them. I want to see my mate, see if he's posted any salt, because I know he'd be fucking angry. Oh no, he hasn't posted anything yet. Also, I've got my voice acting stuff. I just got my contract over the weekend. So I've got to go through my voice acting contract and then eventually get to work. Yeah, I've got yeah, I've got to get to work for the voice acting stuff. I'm excited. I'm excited to do it. And I can't wait to play the game. Now, for them to constantly play like this, also it's out playing the Broncos. While the Broncos sleeping. That's kind of crazy for, you know, the team that won last year. Eh? How much they're getting scored on right now. Alrighty. That will be us this evening. Thank you very much for the aroha. You know, here's all my eyes. There you go. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. First reading stream back in a while. So we'll go through Lord of the Rings with you guys over the coming weeks. And it's going to be fun. I usually start with YouTube first, so peace out, YouTube.